Black Christmas is one of those rare holiday-themed horror movies, but one that's not centered around Halloween, but around Christmas. Really off at the top of my head, the only other Christmas horror movies I could think of would be maybe Silent Night, Deadly Night, or Gremlins. Well, Black Christmas is about a group of young girls in a sorority house being plagued by obscene phone calls and eventually attacked by a deranged killer hiding out in the attic. It's a play on one of the oldest urban legends out there, the story of a young girl being terrorized by phone calls, who calls the police to trace the call, and then finds out, much to her horror, that the calls are coming from inside the house. This differs because things move more slowly in terms of the investigation. After the first two murders, the bodies are never found, and only one of the characters is missed, because the other, the house mother, was believed to have left for the holidays. They're searching for this girl, the first one that was murdered, but the police are sidetracked by another issue, a young girl murdered in a local park. Now, it's never stated that it's the same murderer, but heavily implied. As a matter of fact, you can believe that the killer killed the little girl and then snuck into the sorority house during the party that they were having at the beginning and hid in the attic. They also mentioned a girl had been raped a while back, and again, it's not stated to be the same guy, but it's very possible. He makes calls using the other line, and at first they're typical heavy breathing and moaning, but eventually he gets more and more deranged and threatening. The characters don't even know that there's a murderer on the loose because the bodies are well hidden in the attic, but eventually they get tired of the obscene phone calls and tell the police, who are initially dismissive because they have a murder case and a missing person to work on. But one of the smarter cops thinks that all the crimes are related and puts a tap on the phone. There's a few moments where they don't really keep the guy on the line long enough. Now, in reality, it only takes a few seconds to trace a phone call, but movie and TV shows have been using that trope for years. Throughout the course of the film, you're led to believe that the main character's boyfriend is behind it. He seems unstable and weird, and is increasingly angry at his girlfriend for wanting to have an abortion. And the killer repeats something that he said in one of the phone calls, and at the end of the movie, when he comes towards her, she freaks out and kills him in self-defense. But no, he wasn't the killer. So who is the killer? Well, that's the great thing about this movie. He's never caught, and he's never revealed. He's still out there, hiding in the attic, ready to strike again. It's a haunting ending, with the credits start rolling over just the sound of a phone ringing over and over, as the police pack it up, believing that the killer met his end. All you ever see of the guy is a single deranged eye. Black Christmas had a remake which fleshed out the killer more, giving him an identity and a personality based on the ramblings from the original movie. But honestly, as interesting as that is, I prefer the ending where he's still out there and nobody knows who he is or what's his problem. It's much scarier that way. I guess people these days want everything explained. It's kind of like the end of Inception. Does the top fall over or does it stay up? Well, it's left ambiguous on purpose, and that's what made it brilliant. Black Christmas also scores points for being funny, and I don't mean in a spoofy horror comedy way, but just the characters themselves are funny, like Barb, played by Margot Kidder, who is so crass and offensive, and she doesn't give a shit. The house mother, who's a secret alcoholic, and she has to put on a happy face around the sisters, but mostly she just thinks they're all idiots. Very funny stuff. Black Christmas is a classic that's worth seeing, but go for the original, not the exposition-heavy remake. 9 out of 10.